welcome to Capital Conversations, a monthly deep dive that takes a 360 view of digital transformations in capital markets. With an unpredictable market, history has proven that business resilience is dependent on continued investment in technology. Together with our guests across corporate and investment banking, wealth management, asset management, and market infrastructure, we'll discuss how capital markets are innovating to weather the current market climate. For this new installment of our series, I have the pleasure of hosting none other than Gary Collier, CTO at Man Group. Hi, Gary.
Hi.
Thank you for joining us. How are you?
Very well, thanks. And a pleasure to be here today. Hopefully we'll have a really good chat.
I'm sure we will. For those of you who might not yet be familiar with Man Group, it is a global technology-empowered active investment management firm. It's headquartered in London and manages over $150 billion in assets for clients. The firm invests across a diverse range of strategies and asset classes with a blend of long-only and alternative strategies run on a discretionary and quantitative basis, all while navigating both liquid and private markets. So Gary, let's start with your career history. How long have you been at Man?
I've been at Man an awful long time. It's just ticked over 22 years in the September just gone, and honestly, I never expected to stay here this long. And often joke for the first 5 years here, I was buying monthly train tickets to come to the office because how long does anyone stay in a company? But after 5 years or so, I started buying the annual tickets, figuring, if I'm here for 5 years and still loving it, I might be here for a while longer.
I think, that's amazing. That speaks volumes about the tech culture at Man. So can you tell us a bit more about your career and your current role?
I think you can trace back my current role to really the age of 10 or 11 when I was a kid, and I was getting into the home computing wave, which is really just starting to hit. And of course, computer games are a thing, and playing computer games is interesting, but understanding like how they worked and starting to program them myself was more interesting still. So I started getting into programming languages like BASIC and assembler. I did physics at uni because at the time computing still felt more like a hobby than a career. But come the age of 21 and I'm graduating, it was no, computing is what I want to do. So for the first 15, 20 years actually my career, I was a software engineer. I was writing, single contributor, writing lots of code. And it was really only since about 2008 that I moved into more of a management position, started leading a trading systems team here at Man Group. And then, that grew and grew. I found I really loved what I term as a multi-dimensional optimization problem, which is good technology management, where you're looking after projects and people and timeframes and technology decisions and short-term versus long-term strategy. Really grew to love that. I ended up being CTO for Man AHL in 2017. I think that's one of Man Group's investment engines, as we call them. It's a very, very tech-driven, quant systematic business. Then in 2018, I was asked to build out a new business function that we called Alpha Technology to bring all of the front office technology in the firm together under a do it once, do it well remit. And that structure persisted for 5 years. I think we were very successful in that mission. And then with the change of CEO this year from Luke over to Robin, one of Robin's first acts was to unify all of technology within Man under a newly formed global CTO role that she asked me to take. So that's what I'm doing now. That's what I've been doing and in seat for the past 4 months or so.
Fantastic. So I think we're going to maybe to ask you a few more questions about this and what it means, for Man Group, who has heavily invested in technology for at least 2 decades, what it means to be a technology technology-driven investment manager, because that really set them apart from other asset managers who are more trying maybe to integrate third parties and to build out of platforms?
Yeah, there's a few ways I think to look at this. I mean, one, you could look at just say the org chart in the first instance, something simple, and you'd see that very much tech being top table is reflected in the org chart. So my reporting line is straight into the CEO of the firm, which is not always the case. And another thing I'd say, and a kind of pet hate of mine, is when people talk about like technology and the business as two separate things. I always jump on that when I hear anybody say it, or check myself, in fact, if I start to say it. Because really, here at Man Group, like tech and the business, the part of the same thing. Don't think about them as different, because technology truly permeates everything that we do, and that's just not just technology in terms of the systems that we either build or integrate, but it's how we structure ourselves as well. For example, if you were to walk across, say, the fifth floor here in Redbank House and have a look at what some of the investment teams were doing, and I was to say, hey, Pierre, tell me which of the folks you're looking at are techies and which ones are quants or leaders, you probably wouldn't be able to tell, because the tools, the setup, the types of things you'd see on the screen, they're the same. So it's tech integrated with the business, and the tools that we use are often the same tools, the same like Python coding environments, for example.
Mm-hmm. So you have staff who have this technology and business expertise, and you have end users that are also tech savvy. And there's a statistic that we hear very often at Man Group, is that a third of the staff being technologists, whether it's developers, DevOps, engineers, quants, data scientists, etc.
Well, that's absolutely true. A third of the staff are technologists. They're like staff in my team, but that's almost the kind of bare minimum number that you can quote, because that doesn't include quantitative researchers, for example, all of whom are pretty tech savvy. They're writing Python, they're using the platform. We should talk about platform in a bit. I mean, that doesn't include traders, most of whom have been on our internal Python course and data science course that we call Develop. So if you're to count up not just the people who are formerly part of tech, but the people who are using technology day to day and actively programming in say Python, the numbers are a lot bigger. We've pushed, I think, at least a couple of hundred people now through our Python course, for example.
So can we say just a word about this Develop program?
Yeah.
So that's, I guess, is it because it's really difficult to find the right profile for Man? I mean, it's difficult to find people that really have this balance of technology and business knowledge, that you decided that you're going to have them get up to speed with this?
No, that's not really the reason. And in fact, if I had to chat to some of the operations like folks sometimes, and I think actually seeing operations professionals, it's more common now than it was to see like Python on their CV as an example. But really what we're trying to do here is build a skill set, double down on a skill set that maybe individuals have touched on a little bit if they're coming into what are primarily non-technical roles, to build on that and give them the tools, the capabilities and access to the data to allow them to do their jobs better. Because at the end of the day, and I guess this is thinking about things in a very abstract way, but I think it's quite useful. Every team in this organization is bringing together that combination of advanced technology that allows innovation, allows automation, data to drive the analytics, the decision making, and expertise. And that expertise might be quant expertise, of course, in the front office. It might be people expertise. It might be sales expertise. But I think that union of expertise, technology, and data still holds true. It's a really powerful one, and we try and fuel that as much as we possibly can.
So empower and enable everybody with technology.
Yeah.
And can we also what again, as we said, Man is really investing a lot in its technology, but that also means that you have a lot of in-house developments. You have your own data centers. So can you tell us a bit more about the strategy here of in-house developments, on data centers?
Yeah. So again, looking at technology through quite an abstract lens, and maybe this is a useful place to start. Like, what can technology do for us? Well, it can hopefully help us to innovate, to allow us to do things tomorrow that we couldn't necessarily do today. So we want to put tools into the hands of professionals to help them innovate. Automation's obviously a big thing. It can help us do things more efficiently, and allow us to scale efficiently. And it can also help us to be agile if we architect things well, to be able to respond to market conditions quickly, because we've got well developed and powerful systems. So this thinking, is a technology solution going to help us innovate and do things we can't? Is it going to help us be more efficient, allow us to scale operationally more easily? Or is it going to help us be agile and twist on a dime in response to different market conditions? It's that kind of thinking that permeates all of the build versus buy decision making. So typically what you would find then is areas where we're very much trying to deliver a competitive advantage. There's more of a preponderance towards building, like paying the premium for custom tools that support quant research, investment workflows, where there's little to no competitive advantage to be had. I mean, we wouldn't, for example, want to build our own sales system or our own HR system. So vendor products are really the name of the game there. But in other areas, I mean, definitely consider, is it worth paying a build premium? Because even though what we're doing might be somewhat commodity, and we could get a vendor system to do it, it's worth paying that premium for the agility that it subsequently gives us, that we're not beholden to a vendor who might say, well, yes, of course we can add that feature, but it's going to be 12 to 18 months away. So it's that kind of reasoning that is what I think about when making those decisions. Of course, with a tech team being as large as it is, as you said, over 500 people, around a third of the firm, that gives me honestly quite a luxurious position, because we can build anything that we really want to turn our minds to and build if we think it gives us a competitive advantage. And you mentioned a data center. That's and choosing in this instance to be on-prem for a lot of what we do, and people might look at that and think, oh, what are you doing? Where are you on your cloud journey? And I'd say, well, exactly where we want to be on our cloud journey, because everything that we do in our own VC for a decade or so, more probably, infrastructure as code, using technology like Kubernetes for orchestration. So everything's automated, everything is built using cloud principles, but we choose not to rent other people's computers for reasons of both like cost and efficiency, given the scale that we operate at, and also, frankly, to try and give our end users the best possible environment, which combination of powerful servers, Linux OS in a lot of cases, and high performance flash storage, gives to people in a way that's like renting computers and using what is often lowest common denominator tech just wouldn't do.
Yeah, okay, that makes perfect sense. Just wanted to go back to what you said about having your own technology, giving you the flexibility to pivot, depending on the market conditions or opportunities that you might want to seize, but also there's probably more acquisitions coming in the way of Man journey. I think recently you've acquired Varagon. So that also means that you need to onboard these new, how did you call them, investment pensions? So how can you tell us a bit more about the platform that you were describing at the beginning, this common platform that is going to serve these different asset managers? How does it work? How do you onboard new investment managers?
Yeah, really happy to talk about that, because if there's one thing I absolutely believe in as a powering force for a firm like Man, it's having a really, really strong platform. Because we talked a few minutes ago about democratizing the ability to innovate to teams and providing like efficiency of operation and agility, and having a great platform is the key to all of that. And I think if we're to add them up, all of the staff in the technology team, a very, very large proportion of those people are building like a platform technology that powers either part of the firm or a specific, or either all of the firm or a specific part of the firm. So now if we're to look, say, at our front office to begin with, building out the front office platform was like a key challenge, a key objective of the role I had before this, when I was building out the alpha technology departments. That covers things like high performance compute environments to power our quants to run big historical simulations. It covers the standard means of getting new data into the front office, because new data is often a source of new alpha, and we build new models to extract insights from new data. Having a single execution desk and a single execution stack with market connectivity and algos that every investment engine can tap into is a key thing as well. Having risk technology that can provide both drill down into the specific investment risks that an individual manager might be taking, and at the same time zoom out and look at the risks that we're taking across the firms, extremely powerful. So there's this cross front office platform that covers all of that, but leaves a really big space in the middle for the investment teams to build out their specific model IP, like a rich set of tools to build from in terms of analytic libraries, strategy frameworks. So we really try and empower, not constrain, but in the spirit, I think, of all good platforms, to centralize and take away the heavy lifting that we don't want to repeat. And that story is true, and also of post trade. There's a sort of slightly different emphasis there. I mean, we're often not in the back office and post trade world. We're often not like delivering programmatic APIs to the same extent that we are in the front office. It's more operational tools, but the same ethos there in terms of central platform for all of the firm's books and records, so that we can feed the positions back into our risk systems, so that we can do client reporting, reg reporting, all of the investment operations around like settlement and fund accounting. So all of that can be done like once and well. And of course, having that gives us the ability to onboard like new teams quite quickly, because if they're a quant team or a new investment team in GLG, ManGLG, there's a set of individual tools, a toolbox that can be provided to the individual or the team. And then at the much larger scale for an acquisition such as Varagon, there's the broader Man Group platform to plug into as well. That also includes stuff that we would take for granted and that everyone uses, Slack messaging, as a very commodity example. So we kind of overlook some of the regular infrastructure, but of course all that is there too, as well as a bespoke Man Group platform infrastructure.
Yeah, I really like that the platform is solving at the same time the access to the function, your risk management, execution, etc. At the same time, the data, because again, that's something that we often see kind of addressed by different people in different parts of the organization, and with almost like they're not linked together. So with this common platform, at the same time, I can have my a clear, single source of truth with my IBOR. I can access my risk data if I want to run maybe some models, etc. So yeah, that sounds too good to be true.
Well, it requires hard work. It's not something that can happen overnight, but it really requires the commitment from the top of the firm to technology, the belief that things like a powerful platform are the drivers of innovation, are the drivers of operational scalability. So, and this is something that I think is truly believed and talked about by CEOs, past and present.
So yeah, so that's one, I guess, one advantage of owning all your technology and controlling, being able to build this consistent model across and not having fragmented system because you're using maybe third parties that are going to fragment your system and your data. So would you consider maybe selling your technology to other market participants, like your execution, your MS, for example, we discussed, and I also know that you've been doing some work, you've been funding startup like ArcticDB. So how do you see this maybe spreading to the outside world, outside of Man?
So it's a good question, and I think that the first thing I'd say there, culturally, in terms of the tech team and well, how I think like good engineers think about things in general, they're outward looking. Of course, it's always fun to sometimes put headphones on and hack some code and write something that's like brand new. But having an outward-looking open source first mindset, I think, removes the need to do more than is necessary in house, but also keeps people like open-minded, engaged with the community. And if our engineers have a good internal map of the open source landscape, that allows us to see niches that aren't necessarily well filled. And if they're niches that are important to us, and this is really the genesis of ArcticDB, then again, coming back to the size and capability of the tech team, even though we're not necessarily in the business of writing databases, which is what ArcticDB is, when there's a need that we see, absolutely we can turn the engineering effort of the team to do that. And really that's what we've done with ArcticDB that you mentioned. A lot of the workflows in the firm across the investments management space, and it's all about processing like data, of course, and analytics and actionable insights from data. regardless of how that data might look at the kind of raw input, often it's of course numbers and market data and company fundamentals, increasingly alternative data which can take many forms like text, visual imagery. You're not too far into the investment process before you're dealing in like data frames, and think of those as potentially very, very large. Things look a bit like Excel sheets, but they might be hundreds of thousands of columns, millions or billions of rows. And with Arctic, just concluded that there wasn't really much effective third-party or open source technology that could deal with very, very efficient like storage, query, and resultant analytics on data frames, not just like one massive data frame, 500,000 columns and 10 million rows, but models that might have hundreds of such data frames. So really, that's why we built Arctic DB. It started off as an internal tool, but just figured there was a niche here in the market. It was useful to us, very likely to be useful to other organizations as well. And I think another example of how the organization and the senior management here really view technology, that they were happy to internally fund a startup inside the firm, which other less enlightened organizations might just have wondered, what the hell are you doing here? This is not our core business. No, we're not going to do it. But here at Man Group, it was a bit different, and managed to build quite a big team to support this. And ultimately, it has resulted in Man Group selling its technology. I'm very proud that Bloomberg actually were our first customer and joined us as a co-development partner on Arctic DB. We've since made another sale to an asset manager that I can't name because of NDA. They want to keep that tech secret, and lots of other prospects at really advanced stages. So very, very bullish about. It's a very interesting and potentially high growth side project, side forming. So that's Arctic. I think the thing that makes Arctic an interesting thing to be able to commercialize. I mean, cohesiveness is of course a aspect that we look for in well-designed technical systems. A thing that does a set of things, a set of functions well in a kind of nicely wrapped and bundled package. Now with Arctic DB, it's highly cohesive. It is trivial to install and get up and running. It interacts but beautifully with, say, the rest of the Python data science ecosystem through a very narrow, well-defined API that really belies the power underneath. That makes it quite easy to pull out of the organization and generalize to other organizations and other use cases. With something like the OMS, you mentioned, would consider commercializing our OMS. I'd be a lot more hesitant with something like that. There's an awful lot of like Man Group specific workflows that we're building into that technology, and of course the integration points of an OMS with the rest of the tech stack. There are very many of them, so I would be quite hesitant to say what we're building within Man Group, let's make it into a commercial OMS offering.
That makes sense. Yeah, obviously more dependencies as opposed to this more self-contained project like Arctic DB. So we see a lot of asset managers exploring the opportunities of generative AI, trying to find new applications or test potential use cases, realistic use cases. Is that something that you're also exploring at Man Group?
Yeah, absolutely. There's an awful lot of excitement around this technology, and what's been really interesting, like this time, I mean, often other pieces of technology or the developments that are at the cutting edge, perhaps it's the quant units, the most heavily tech-focused parts of front office, which have been the most like eager to trial and deploy. What's been quite interesting to observe this time with Gen AI is that the interest in the technology is coming from like all over the firm. A strong interest from NGLG, our discretionary investment engine, strong interest from tech departments such as legal. And so what we're trying to do, we've formed a new generative AI team, which is part of our platform technology, to make sure that we've got a common bedrock of tools. We, of course, like a lot of places, are using Azure and the GPT-4 model, making sure that we've got the right privacy and usage policies in place, and then opening up this tool set to the rest of the firm. Along with education, etc., to allow everybody, regardless of discipline, to engage with it. So it's another piece of that. Every team in Man Group is the bringing together of technology, tools, data, and professional expertise. And I'm really excited about some of the possibilities here. I mean, if we look at I think where the investment spend's going in the market more generally, I think the lion's share of it seems to be going towards like AI assistants and co-pilots. And what might that mean in the investment space? Well, it might be an alpha generation assistant, a research assistant that helps guide a quant researcher right from like hypothesis generation through model building, like back testing, like visualization, and all of the exploratory analytics in a more readily and interactive form. So very, very bullish and long this technology. And we've only just really started to scratch the surface.
So it's really interesting to hear that because Man has been using AI and machine learning, I think, for some of their fund for a long time. That's not new to Man, but this time, instead of being, I would say, part of the specifics of one investment manager, this generative AI could be really part of the commodities or the function that everybody can access, either to generate maybe synthetic data, to get summarize some data, find some specific data, maybe get some ideas on the market regimes, etc. So
absolutely, all of that, completely.
And we see that also used to as you said, to assist maybe operations with the internal procedures, with the regulation as well, and having also, I guess, one of the difference with the technique that you're using with AI and machine learning. With generative AI, it's more an interactive process with the end user, where you can initiate something and then have going back and forth and improving the response.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it lowers the barrier to entry. I kind of view the tech, the ultimate like binding agent, the binding agent between like our own data, up-to-date data. We see some interesting developments with GPT, saying they're like interfacing it to the internet, so it's not just necessarily going to be subject to the September 2021 training criteria, but bringing those powerful like models together with the world of data, with the internal data and IP, with the code base that we've got in millions of lines of proprietary code and lots of open source. I think bringing all that together and putting it in a easily accessed and digestible form by professionals, regardless of whether they're highly technical ones like our quants, or less technical ones, but people whose job it is to deal with like masses of complex documentation. I think there's loads of power to be had.
And that's right. We often think about, well, there's probably three categories where you can help. There's the where you can help your clients, you can help your internal operational teams, and you can help the development. As you say, you already have a fantastic code base or high quality code that you've been maintaining and honing for years. Being able to maybe to do some code generation based on that is a fantastic. I mean, that would leverage even more your the fact that you have invested and you're maintaining your own technology, I guess. So it's going to amplify your I guess your advantage, your edge at least.
Exactly.
Okay, we need to have another episode on that, Gary. I'm really excited about that.
Happy to. Right, happy to.
Thank you very much for joining us and sharing your experience and your insights on the tech-driven investment management. For our viewers who would like to connect with you and Man, what would be the best way to reach out?
So I'm on LinkedIn, have a public profile there. Man Group website, there are ways of contacting the firm. Careers, if you want to come and work here, it's an exciting place to come work. There's a bunch of open roles. That would be a great way to hear from anybody who might be excited by what they've listened to in the conversation today.
Absolutely. And to our listeners, thank you for joining another episode of Capital Conversations. Stay tuned for more conversation at the crossroads of capital markets and technology. Until next time.